The next station is Shibuya.
Look at me, where she wanna be. Call me Freaky T. Off the leash, I feel like a dog. I get hella free. Keep it P, never needed you, but you needed me. I got cream, make up pretty clean. Boost your self-esteem. I get tired in the morning, so I feel like baby king.
Welcome back to the Vitals update, and yeah, sorry for not filming the last one, but I was just kind of busy that day. So alright, starting off in S tier, Gold Darkwing now has a value of 125,000, so that rose. Gold Martial Artist / Jin Mori now has a value of 85,000, so that dropped. Gold Jinju / Cumber now has a value of 67,500, so that dropped. Gold Toby now has a value of 65,000, so that dropped. Gold Flame Servant now has a value of 40,000, so that dropped. Club Beast Kaido now has a value of 34,000, so that dropped. In Demand is 6, which also dropped. Darkwing now has a value of 25,000, so that rose. Elusiva or Niropodoru now has a value of 24,000, so that rose. Sinbad now has a value of 20,000, so that rose. In Demand is 9, which also rose. Bunny Girl / Mai Sakuroshima now has a value of 18,500, so that rose. In Demand is 7, which also dropped. Frost Moon / Doma now has a value of 18,000, which rose. In Demand is 7, which also dropped. Martial Artist / Jin Mori now has a value of 17,000, so that dropped. In Demand is 4, which also dropped. Jinju now has a value of 13,500, and Demand is 4. Both of those dropped. And Toby now has a value of 13,000, so that dropped. And Demand is 4, which also dropped. Kagane / Sid Kagano now has a value of 12,500, which dropped. And Demand is 5, which also dropped. And the tag is stable. Crimson Mommy / Rias Gregory now has a value of 12,000, which rose. And Demand is 8.5, which also rose. And the tag is overpriced. And yeah, that is it for S tier. Alright, in A tier, Water Goddess / Aqua now has a demand of 8, which rose. Goku Kaioken times 50 now has a value of 7,500, which rose. Death Painting Choso now has a tag of stable. Goku Kaioken times 25 now has a value of 3,100, which rose. Sim Shady / Killer Bee / Yi or Raikage Forever now has a value of 2,600, which dropped. And Demand is 5, which also dropped. The Big 3 now has a value of 2,500, which rose. Jex D Gecko or Gecko Moria now has a value of 1,800, which rose. Masochinist Lady or Darkness now has a value of 1,600, so that rose. And Demand is 6, which also rose. Goku Kaioken times 5 now has a value of 1,600, so that rose. Future Habri now has a value of 1,500, which rose. And Demand is 7, which also rose. Poison Clown now has a demand of 5, which dropped. Sim Shady / Killer Bee now has a value of 1,300, which dropped. Yi / Rikage now has a value of 1,300, so that dropped. Yuta Okotsu now has a value of 1,200, so that dropped. And Demand is 5, which also dropped. Ice X Marine / Aokiji 6 now has a demand of 5, which dropped. Dark Ice Queen or Rukia Ima now has a demand of 6, which rose. Astolfo now has a demand of 6, which rose. Becky / Beatrice now has a demand of 5, which also rose. And yeah, that is it for A tier. In untiered, 100% / Dark Egg now has a value of 12,500, which dropped. And Demand is 5, which also dropped. In sets, Gold Leaderboard set now has a value of 337,500. Old Leaderboard set now has a value of 91,000. Egg set now has a value of 16,140. And Star Pass set has a value of 1,000. Alright, thank you for watching this Vitals update. If you have anything, comments, concerns, or things like that, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we'll get back to you. And I hope you enjoyed this one.